morning, everybody. Welcome back to Reaper Pro-Tips with me, your host, Ann. Disembodied Hands, Queenie, Disembodied Beard, John, and sometimes a Kiki. How is everyone today? It's a rainy morning here. It's supposed to clear up later, but it's quite rainy. We're starting a new model today. Huzzah. Hello, hello. Yeah. A little bit of a late start today, but I realized that I went late a lot last week, at the end of last week, so I'm just gonna start a little late today and end on time because it's Luca Day. It's Luca Day. If you hear any small background noise, it's because David's on a call in the other room. He's he's getting over his illness now, but he is still at home because he doesn't want to get his team sick, so he's got his door closed, but the volume's up, so sorry for any small bits of background noise that leak in. Hopefully not a lot will. I'm just kneading up my my blue tack here. Blue stuff. I'm kneading up my blue stuff to make it nice and soft and sticky so that we can stick down Sophie. I'm going to paint the wings separately. We'll probably start with the skin and the wings because that's what I tend to do. I have a work methodology based around what is the most boring thing, get that done first. That way we can have fun with the rest of it. So we'll be doing that. We'll be enacting that particular work methodology today. Everybody's quiet. Everybody's busy. Everybody's at work. We appreciate you boosting our numbers anyway. My CrossFit coach recommended a nutrition/diet/mindset book for me about longevity and protein. So I started reading that yesterday. Makes me happy that I started lifting when I did, and I'll tell you that. There we go. Luncha. I mean, I usually go with I tend to not change Sophie's skin color. I tend to go with what I'm going with. If I was planning to do her in shadow, like if I was planning to do strong lighting effects, then I might change that. This is a hard one because I do want a frontal light in addition to her backlight. The backlight is mostly going to be shining on her hair here and giving us a little bit of backlight. So it's kind of nice because it does give us a little bit of light on the back side of the model. Oh, nice, Quindy. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, yuck. Sorry about that, Quindy. Oh no. Oh no. Nara. Well, I'm gonna be there with you when I get my my dog blanket done. I'm sure that that's my first time sewing pieces together. I'm probably gonna screw it up. So yeah, so the lantern sits about there. Meaning that it does fall on the edge of this page, but yeah, we'll see what we're going to do. I really wanted to get a light source that was coming from the front, though. If we just use this light source, all of her face would be in shadow, right? The way to really make OSL make sense is that you have to paint the rest of the model, as if it is in a lower light source area. Otherwise, if it was out in the sun or in a bright light, you wouldn't see anything from this lanterning at all. Unfortunately, a lot of our current OSL stuff teaches us really bad habits about that. Painting the model regularly and then just putting the light source in, which is fine when you're practicing, when you're just trying to figure out where your light is falling, that's just fine. But you're still going to get a better result in the long run, painting other things as if they're in like at least a kind of a twilight or a dimmer light situation. So we'll see. We'll see what I want to do with this. Oh, nice. At least you have good water where you are, Quindy. Excellent. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm doing all rectangles. not squares, irregular. I showed my little drawn out pattern the other day, but it's all different rectangles blocked together in an interesting pattern. So we'll see. But on the other hand, I'll probably be like sewing those together kind of separately. So if I screw one up, then hopefully I'll recognize it. I do need to grab my knife because I did not deal with this mold line the other day. Bad Ann, ignoring mold line. But yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, you can paint OSL however you want, but if you just paint it how you want, you don't learn a lot about like how light actually falls, which is useful to know when you're trying to do a dramatic lighting effect. So you have to be consistent then, right? Just gonna try to get some of this crap out of here. Probably gonna bring in my files a little bit. But yeah, so personally, it took me so long to grok lighting effects in general that I don't let myself do incorrect ones anymore, because essentially every project I do is training my eye. And if I train my eye incorrectly, then I'm not going to be able to like make kind of gut judgments about when I need my gut to tell me if this light sourcing is correct, does it look right? My gut won't be there for me because I'll have let it, kind of half-ass things up to that point. So that's why I'm pretty, like, I come down strongly on the learn how to do it right side of things, right? But that's me, and that doesn't have to be you. Yeah, this is annoying, and I might need to get my green stuff out. I won't spend too much time on this because I want to do the skin, but I'm really annoyed with this mold line. It's really bad. I will have to green it, and I'll probably have to green that one as well because it's in a recessed area. Hold on. Yeah. So that's annoying. So we'll have to like do that. I'll probably do that when we get a little closer to that dress. Just looking, make sure I got everything else. Got a little bit up here on the hair. I think we're good. Yeah, we'll just have to deal with that. See, Sophie's like, for some reason, I just totally see this as a nightgown. I don't know why Librarian Sophie is in a nightgown, but she is. Alright, let's get to the wings, because I know I want to start on them today. So yeah, we'll green stuff those mold line issues. There comes a point on some of this material where you're just making it worse instead of better. So that's when I reach for the putty. Because sometimes stuff's just at a bad angle. And I can honestly fix it so much easier by just doing some green stuff work. And that's why it's useful to learn to work with green. Green will let you fix that stuff a little easier than something like Milliput or Aves, because you can actually sculpt with green. Milliput and Aves are much better as gap fillers. Color matching, huh? No, not at all. Especially, it depends. I'll qualify that, Jamie, by saying if you've kept your paint thinner from the beginning, you're fine. Even if you kept your paint thicker, but there's only a couple layers on there, you're still fine. I once had to repaint a model's hair 5 times because I couldn't decide on the correct hair color because I'd chosen a really odd color for the armor. By the end of that, and that's base coat, shading, highlighting, all of it, right? Totally repainted the hair 5 times. And I didn't start to lose detail. And it was pretty fine sculpted hair because it was Werner Clock. I didn't start to lose detail until at the end of the 5th iteration. So if you really want to reprime, I often will reprime if I've just done the first, like, just kind of painted it, didn't like it, and reprime. If you want that primer to kind of reset your brain, just do it. Just don't be careful not to over prime. You've got to make sure to make it a nice light layer of primer. Maybe even use brush on. Depends. If you need to spray, use a spray, but just make sure not to overdo it. But it takes quite a few layers of paint to lose detail. So that means the Citadel paint is pretty thick, and Vallejo is thick unless you thin it. So, I mean, if you can, it's unlikely that one redo is going to lose you any detail. But you've got to make sure to really lightweight prime, because primer has a capacity to fill detail far more than paint does. Primer is the danger here if you're going to reprime. And that's even worse. Okay, so here you go. So the thing about generic automotive primers, because Rust-Oleum is an automotive primer usually, but the thing about generic primers is they're not meant for miniatures, and that means they tend to be thicker. And that means they have an even higher chance of filling in detail if you're not doing real light sprays. So this is why I don't use those. Because they are a thicker formulation. They can far easier, you can lose detail with those far easier. That's why I suggested maybe doing a brush-on primer, where you can thin it, keep it thin. Although brush-on, any hobby primer, any like hobby-based primer is going to be just fine. I mean, Games Workshop is expensive, but it also, I've never had a problem with the cans clogging, and it's a great primer. I use GW. I use GW or Tamiya. So Tamiya, the Japanese one that is a model. It's also a model primer. There's a whole bunch of different ones. The P3 primers aren't bad from Privateer Press. If you're painting, Inara has a good point. If you're painting bones, just get a new model. Yeah. It depends on if you're doing GW armies, like if you're doing Games Workshop armies, obviously you don't want to throw away a model. So at that point, reprime. But if you're practicing on like Reaper bones are so cheap and inexpensive. And the problem with bones is that they already don't have the super crispest detail, unless they're Bones USA. So at that point, maybe just start something new. Because that's the thing. I mean, you can only repaint a model self-printed 3D resin. Okay. So you could even print a new one. Okay, in that case, I'm with Inara. Don't redo it. Why, okay, so here's the dealio. Keep your old mistakes around so that you can see how far you've come. 2 is that repainting the same model can only teach you so much. You're going to actually progress faster if you do a different model. I am never in favor of stripping. Not unless the paint has been applied so thickly and the primer is on, or the fuzzy primer. Fuzzy primer is a reason to strip a model. Yeah, and even if you think your color stuff is bad, I mean, keep them around. When, 3 years from now, when you're much, much better, you can look back at those models and not only laugh, but maybe even use them as examples to help other people. So if you're not, if you can just print another one and you haven't, because there's such a thing as the sunk cost fallacy here, where you're like, I've spent time on this, I should fix it. But at the same time, again, it's not going to teach you necessarily anything more. You can move to a new model, use what you're learning, and probably be just fine. Keep the old model around to show yourself what not to do. That's kind of my philosophy. So can you prime over it? Yes, you can. Be lightweight on it. Real light, especially with that Rust-Oleum. Real light spray. You've already got paint down. You don't need to reprime, but if you want to do it as kind of a mental refresher so that the model looks new again and you can get past it, you can do that. But what everybody else says holds true. You're not going to learn necessarily a lot from repainting the same model You are going to lose a reference example from your early days, which most of us wish we'd kept, honestly. And, you know, you can just print another one if you really want to. If you can't be a good example, be a terrible warning. Thanks, Vic. Vic's got a good point. So yeah, so think about all these things, because like I don't have any of my earliest models anymore. Like the earliest model I have is probably from 1995 or 6, maybe 1998, and it's like a dry brushed Chaos Hound. And I still love having that thing around because it's like, this is how far I've come, right? You go look at that, and then, you know, over 25 years later, I'm at international competition winning level. Yeah, because I stuck with the hobby for that long. Maybe you won't, but, you know, you could get really good, and then you'd be looking back at your old models, go, look where I came from, you know, when people are like, I could never paint like you. You know, I get that a lot. But so yeah, so summary is, yes, you can reprime, go real lightweight with it. You can use your Rust-Oleum, but just go real lightweight. Like, don't ever, like, you just need a little bit, just so you can protect yourself from that detail loss. And then you can repaint it if you really want to. I find it's more effective. I've given feedback to people who got kind of stuck on repainting one model because they weren't satisfied with it. And I found that they really didn't improve even over the course of like 3 tries on that model. Now that's just one person, so you could be different. It's all what's your goal, what you're trying to do. But don't feel like just because it's ugly, you need to get rid of it, you need to cover it over. No. None of us would judge you. When you whip out that model and say, this is one of my first models, isn't it awful? We're all going to go, oh man, that's as bad as I used to do. We're all like, we were there. It takes time to learn color harmony, right? And I will be having videos on that shortly, probably on my YouTube channel. But nothing up there right now. I have a lot of stuff on my Patreon about color. And I do a lot of color talk here on in the show. Yeah, if you are a black primer, you could just thin down some black and just put it over the top, and you're going to be fine. Because black usually covers really well. Most of these days are using high-density pigments, so they're going to cover really well, even though thinned. And that'll be fine, right? That gives you your reset button if you really don't want to keep that example around. And some people don't. Some people just really are like, I want to totally like destroy this model and never want to see it again. And that's fair. You don't have to keep your early examples of your work. You could just choose to keep an early example of your work that you're actually proud of, but do keep an early example at some point. It's really rewarding to look back and see how far you've come. When you're like 6 months further in, you'll be astonished at how much better you are if you paint consistently. So yeah, you can thin down to black. That works just fine. Because you've already got paint on it, right? You don't need more primer. You just need a uniform coat to start from. So that's fair. Well, yeah. Like, on this show, I sometimes, I will answer a very specific question very specifically, and not necessarily, crows, remember to go out and say, but you don't need to do that at all. Yeah, no problem. I mean, we've all been there, everybody in this channel, so good luck to you. Welcome to the hobby. Welcome to the hobby. If you're a newbie, Jamie, go over and look at my YouTube. It's right above you in the chat there. It is the... Where are we? YouTube. Oh, it's in the middle. So youtube.com/paintingbig. I have a series called Fundamentals of Mini Painting that's geared toward new people to the hobby. It goes through some supplies stuff like brushes, but it also goes through all of the techniques that I think are foundational to the hobby, and I demo them. I give you information about them and I demo them. So go on over and check that out. If you're new, it might help you kind of shortcut some things, and it'll give you an understanding of technique and terminology. Hey, New and Code, thanks for the resub, tier 1, yeah! But YouTube is continuing to pick up, guys. Every time I look at it, there are more watch hours. There's more average watch hours. It's going up. It's good. It's good. So today I'm actually going to be shooting a new YouTube video about, this is the one about my paint froze. I decided to combine it with the old paint video. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I'll just shoot 2 short ones and be specific. That's probably actually better. Just do 2 5-minute videos, huh? But I want to do one on my paint froze, what can I do, and old paint, can I fix it? And those will be in the shorts series on my YouTube. All right, let's look at this. We've totally got distracted by chat, and we have not continued cleaning our model. This looks pretty good. Got a little bit of... I didn't look at the wings at all, of course, because wings, the hated wings, my most hated part of any model. Yep. Yeah, well, I mean, we've gotten a question about both of these things in the last month. Like, it's just common. It's a common question. That's what I want for the shorts category, is like common questions that I can give a quick answer to. Do a little bit of diamond file action in here. But yeah, easy stuff that we can, in fact, probably, Jamie, I'll take your question even and turn it into a short eventually. The whole, you know, how many layers of paint can I repaint this mini without losing detail? I want to make my stuff pretty, make the shorts really focused. And that is a frequent question. It's maybe not as frequent as, you know, what do I do if my paint is old? Can I fix it? But it's still one we hear. So thank you. Alrighty. Trying to make sure I got that clean. Yeah, I think we're good. Check the top. Yeah, there's a little bit of mold line up there. Yeah, I want my videos to be, my shorts videos to be really concise and really targeted, so people who are looking for that information can find it, watch it, and be on their way. Since so many of my videos are longer, you know, 20 minutes being long in YouTube speak. Files aren't really the ideal on this stuff. But I'll still use them from time to time. Karen feeding of your paint bottles, yeah. Yeah, we'll get there. That's a less common question. But right now, I think I'm pretty good. I've got outlines for concepts and in practice videos. And the shorts I'll just do as the stuff comes up. I'm not like looking for shorts topics so much. Shorts are like those things that I shoot when I'm like, oh yeah, I should do something on that. Something quick. There we go. All right. So yeah, maybe I'll just shoot 2 short videos today. Maybe people will get 2 for the price of 1. Well, at least they'll get 2 in 1 month. How to avoid drinking paint water. Sorry, I haven't figured that one out. That's an easy answer though, crows. Which is to use a very distinct paint water jar. Something that's very different from your actual drinking vessel. All right. So I'm going to do a pinker skin tone on Sophie, I think. We are going to alter tan skin, or maybe, let me see what I got here. I should use sandy brown, except I think it's canceled. So cancel. I kind of like gnome flesh, actually. Maybe we'll warm up gnome flesh. Ah, doctor's visits, yes. I will be out tomorrow for one of those. Treasure, Koniko. So as you know, I usually do the inside of Sophie's wings, the inside membranes, skin colored. For those of you who haven't seen that before, I typically do it because I think it makes the model just harmonize a little bit better. Sophie tends to be, these days, Sophie tends to be clothed a lot more. And so there's only like small amounts of skin. And I like to make sure the wings look like they're a part of her. And so that means putting skin on those interior membranes. Usually I do paint the outside of her wings brown. Oh, cool. Nice. Nice, Inara. Sweet. That's exciting. Fingers crossed. So gnome flesh is a bones color. It is a, my tan skin seems to have run off and gone into another room, but it is a bit more intense than tan skin. I'm gonna put it out. It's a little bit darker as well. It's a little pinker. I feel like I want even darker for this though, so I'm going to actually do a couple of things here. We're going to get a couple of puddles of gnome flesh, and then we're going to tune them darker, because I like to start dark with skin, as you guys know. Start dark, work light. I find that otherwise I don't make my shadows dark enough. Sweet, Inara, that'll be cool. I'm going to use my rich leather. I'm going to pop a drop of that in there. That's going to help to darken this down. I'm also going to grab my magenta and put a little bit of that in. I might go a little far with this, we'll see. Might need to add a little bit more. Tried to do a smaller drop of magenta than I did of the rich leather, but I might still need to tune it. I'm going to pop some water in there, mix it up, and see what we got. But yeah, it's such a relief when you haven't been able to exercise to be able to go back to it. That's super great news, Nora. There we go. Yeah, so that magenta'd us out a bit. It's a good rosy color, but it is a little bit too much toward the pink side, so that's okay. What we will do, and that's actually not a bad undertone for skin. If you are doing something like historical or military figures where you're dealing with figures that are like out in the weather, like I used to do this kind of thing with Vikings all the time. I will start with a darker reddish skin tone to simulate like windburn and sunburn and stuff like that. And then I'll highlight with something that's more standard. But here, yeah, rich leather. I mean, it's essentially raw sienna. I mean, it's a staple artist paint color for a reason. And that it's just you're going to use it. You're going to use it. It's just like the fact that I reach for russet brown all the time. That's burnt umber. It's another staple artist color. So we've dropped that down a lot. 2 drops of rich leather and a drop of magenta. Drop that way low, but that's good. I like this color. I'm going to go with it. I am going to take my brush, which was just in this color, and mix it into this, which will help the two to harmonize without changing this gnome flesh too much. And then as I build highlights, I'm going to be taking this color directly over and adding a white or off-white to it. So adding 1 drop of white, although it made it different, didn't make it very different. I think I wanted a little lighter. I'm just pre-mixing a lot of my stuff here so that we can move fast. That's what off-white, when I said white or off-white, Dabber. Osirian sand would be that. I decided you can go, Osirian sand is a good highlight for skin, but today I didn't have it out here, so I just decided to go with pure white instead. If I feel like my skin color washes out a little bit and I need to add a little bit more yellow, because you totally can have that happen when you add white. You can see how it pinks out a little. You could either have done Osirian sand instead of pure white, or you can take a little tiny bit of that rich leather and pop it back in here to warm it up. Oh, that's annoying. Yeah, our medical system. Oh, don't get me on that. Don't get me on that, Turgeon. That is why I have a savings account for medical emergencies. Because they're expensive. If I have to cover something myself, I can try to. Because otherwise it's annoying. And that's being, like, that's an understatement. All right. So we've got skin tones figured out, and we are using gnome flesh, and we are adding in rich leather and clear magenta to tune it. But our base center mid is pretty much gnome flesh. So we'll see if I've over thinned these now. Oh, for the bingo card, yeah. I mean, you guys always, like, ask me for, you know, like, hey, a list of colors I use all the time. But in reality, you know what colors they are. And as I evolve as a painter, I think this is going to be too big. I was going to use my Reaper Zero, but everything on this model is just smaller, so I'm going to switch to a smaller brush. As I evolve as a painter and get, you know, as I progress, I find that the number of paints I use gets smaller and smaller. Like David, I think David's down to 12 colors. Like, yeah. Oh, you work for the Kodiak. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, my favorite surgeon also didn't have a lot of good things to say But she ended up going into private practice because she was so sick of being affiliated with a hospital, and feeling like they got between her and her patients. But yeah. I just get frustrated when I'm at a specialist office and I like mention, like I've put that I'm taking, like for this IBS thing, you know, at the specialist office, the nurse is looking over the supplements that I stopped taking. She didn't even know what the enteric coated peppermint oil was. I'm like thinking, wait a minute, this is like common knowledge on almost every site that I looked at, that like when I started looking into IBS, the fact that peppermint oil could help and peppermint tea could help, like it's common, it's out there, and the doctor's office doesn't even know, like the actual, like I just face palmed a little. Given it's a nurse, and so not the doctor, that makes a difference, but still, I feel like nutrition and stuff like that is sorely underrepresented in medical knowledge base. So we're just going to dab this on. Which is amazing because so many people have it, right, Agent Orville? Like, all right, let's see here. I'm kind of looking at her hand. I think that's just, she's just resting her head on her hand. So I'm going to paint all of that skin colored. And I'm being careful. If you wanted, you could paint over all of these bangles and jewelry and things, and then just come back and cover them over with a different color later. It depends on the mood I'm in, whether I want to be really precise with my base coat or not. Alternative, quote unquote. Except that this isn't even alternative. Like in our, like it's like there are like good studies out there on this. Like it's in the books on IBS that I looked at, it was a common thing. Like, and that's where I kind of go like shrug. That's part of why I really liked my old surgeon, is because she kept up on the dietary stuff. And when you're dealing with gut issues, you'd think that that would be the area that maybe they'd educate. And you can't really blame the doctors when their education, their medical school stuff doesn't really cover nutrition. Oh, wow, Kerniko. Oh, yeah. Peppermint specifically for like IBS, if you get gassy symptoms, the peppermint can really help you. And gas is a large part of IBS symptoms in my experience. But yeah, peppermint, I don't know if it would help UC. I don't know. I am on a probiotic that can help UC though. Have you looked at VSL number 3 red links? It was actually suggested to me when I had my Crohn's diagnosis. It's a hefty probiotic. It is available, like it's available privately, like you can get it over the counter. I take it. I was just looking for a decent probiotic, and one of the doctors that I've had recommended it to me, said sometimes it helps Crohn's, but it's really actually for IBD and ulcerative colitis. And now we know that I'm not, or we at least see, we still have more tests to do on the whole Crohn's diagnosis thing. So we're just bringing this in. Yeah, right, Kerniko. Yeah. Didn't help. That's too bad, Red Links. Yeah, nothing is a one-shot fix, right? Everybody's so different. I see a little tiny, as I get down to really looking at this stuff, I see a little tiny mold line. I'm just scrape a little bit with my knife. Just take that out. Hey, lady. Yeah, it's a shame that with all these digestive issues, it's a shame that they don't teach doctors more about diet. I'm back to stable now. My gut issues have smoothed out since I made a few changes to my diet. At this point, I'm such a diet pro. Like, after you do keto, everything else is just... everything else looks easy. I think I'm going to be upping my protein in the near future. I don't think I can do... Actually, the only thing more hardcore than keto, I think, is what Bridget does, which is carnivore. She actually feels best on carnivore. Which I looked at it and I'm just like, I don't think I could do that one. Like, okay, I could, but would I enjoy it? I don't know. Oh, the affected. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah, the VSL. Yeah. Yeah, and it's nice when there are studies that support. That's why I think the doctor recommended it to me. But I looked into it, I tried it. I find that it does seem to help a little bit when I'm having issues. Could just be my brain thinking it helps me, but who knows? I mean, it is a probiotic, so it at least isn't gonna hurt. All right. Keto is a high-fat diet. Carnivore is a high-protein diet, Pendrake. Everybody thinks that keto is all about eating meat, but it's actually not. It's high in fat and moderate in protein. And some people do higher protein version of keto, some people don't. It's all just kind of like, they're both low carb. But Bridget has a lot of inflammation tied to carbs. And she has to watch the vegetables she eats and stuff like that. So for her, yeah, that's my point, Kodiak, is like, I wish people would be up to date on their respective fields. I also feel like, and this is me, but I feel like there's not enough emphasis on and there is a ton. I don't think you should and I don't know if you and I are using holistic the same way. I guess holistic does diet include holistic? Like, I'm used to people like talking down holistic medicine, like don't take like slippery elm for inflammation or something like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about more like macros, like actual food that you're eating, like influencing your body. But if that's what you mean by holistic, then we're talking about the same thing. Yes, keto is a lot of vegetables, whereas carnivore drops a lot of that out. Although you are sticking to the lower carb vegetables, obviously. And there's different versions of the keto diet. If you look at the keto diet that's espoused for like tackling multiple sclerosis, for example, you're going to see really high vegetable keto diet. Yeah, because holistic is whole body, and I think regular diet comes into that, right? I would consider it holistic if there weren't studies backing up the efficacy. The reason the peppermint, the enteric coated peppermint oil is used is that it supposedly relaxes the bowel and helps with IBS symptoms. And there's at least one decent study on that. I don't know how many studies. When I looked it up, essentially I was dubious also, and I looked up studies on it, and found at least one good one. But yeah, I mean, you could go back and forth on that, right? How many studies do you need for something to be considered like a reputable finding? That's a hard one too. Ah, interesting, Kodiak. Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good, Lady Katara. Yeah. Jamie, these are reading glasses. I used to paint with my bare eye, but when I turned 40, that all went out the window. I used to be able to paint like this, right? And if I was using my natural eye now, I'd be like... When I turned 40, my eyeball guarantee expired, and my eyeball warranty, and I lost my close-in vision. So these are reading glasses. I use 3 times magnification reading glasses. I don't like optivisors. I don't typically use them. I really hate the magnifying glass thingies. I think they're ridiculous. These don't feel intrusive to me, and I can still look over the top when I need to look at regular things in my environment. I agree with that, Pendrake. Cauliflower rice is better than regular rice. Yeah, it is a very gray subject. Right. I agree, Kodiak. Yeah, for sure, Cornico. Yeah. I guess because I got obsessed with diet, because it helped me so much. I just have a great belief in the power of food and what you eat to heal you. Keto did so many good things for me that, and even now on low carb, I'm keep myself barely out of keto. If I want to feel my best, I keep myself barely out of keto. I lower my carbs to less than 40 grams a day. But I still get the stink eye from medical personnel who think keto is a fad diet that does nothing for you, right? So there's the little foot. I like that she has bare feet. Again, if you're a librarian, I want to know why you're wandering around in your library in a nightie with bare feet. This is more like bedtime, Sophie, to me. Hey, Roger. Alright, so I think we've gotten all the skin here. There's a little bit on the back of her shoulders here. So yeah, if I don't start... Yeah, the personal library. Down here, CHB. I'd paint them separately because when I'm doing wings, I find that attaching them makes them very hard to paint. Whereas if I'm able to paint them flat in my hand, then it's much better. Yeah, she took some of the library home with her. I'm with that. Yeah, for sure, Volnavia. Yeah, and that's just, a sign that what works really well for one person doesn't work well for another, right? Keto's not the answer for everybody, for sure. I'm just happy that it worked for me. It's hard to argue with losing 65 pounds that I desperately needed to lose. Alright, so there we go. We got our skin in there. Ah, good point, CHB. If she's got wings, she doesn't need shoes. Her floor looks pretty clean, to be fair. Yeah, cutting out sugar does wonders for a lot of people. Yeah, it's tiny. It is a tiny mini. It is definitely a mini, yes. She's very petite. But yeah, so that's why I'm using a small brush, a really small brush to base coat her. I reached for my number 1 Reaper and I was just like, my number 0 Reaper, and I'm like, it's not gonna work. So I've got 1 coat, but you can see that it's a little light on the face. So I want to do a 2nd coat to make sure that I get the depth that I want out of this shadow. Because otherwise, when I start to highlight, I'm just not going to get a lot of effect from going up this step here. So I want to definitely make sure this is a very solid coat, and I get it on there like in 2 decent coats for sure. Then when we go up to this, we'll be able to see a little bit of a difference. Especially going over white or gray, like we're going over gray. A lot of slow carbs, yeah. Yeah, you're very different from me, Volnavia, because, yeah, carbs are actually, they can really mess me up. Too many of them. Too many of them for too long of a time. I have to really watch it. When we were in Hawaii, I had to really watch it. Like, I could have a virgin pina colada, but I couldn't have it every day. I had to have one, like, right when we got there, and then one when we were close to leaving. Then I could handle it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, there are so many fad diets, but and you can treat like as far as like I almost think that fad is more like your attitude more than the diet in some cases. Like there are people who just jump on it and then jump off of it, right? Keto for me was 2.5 years of lifestyle. And it taught me, like it got me into the groove of eating a particular way for the long haul. But yeah, for sure. Any diet can be a fad diet depending on your attitude. Now I just want to add more protein into my diet, I think. I was trying that a while ago, and it was pretty good. But I think I need to make a more concerted effort. The holidays got in the way. Now that we're past the holidays. Sugar. Pendrake. Pineapple juice. It's very sugary, very sweet. Like even if you're just drinking pineapple juice with no sugar added, it's a lot of carbs. And I do non-alcoholic ones, so it's just the pineapple juice and the coconut cream. All organic because of their IBS. Interesting. Yeah, yeah. Maybe if you're having more protein, have you started like rebuilding your muscle, Kodiak? You're one of those people who used to work out a lot, right? I know Dogfather used to do martial arts. Purple gown. We're going to do, I want to do an indigo, like a soft indigo blue, I think, on this one. Used to do martial arts, yeah. Yeah, maybe throwing some weight training in could help you. I know losing the weight is such a battle. I mean, I've been struggling with this last 20 pounds I've been fighting for a while. So I feel it. That was the thing that keto did for me, is it actually stopped my cravings. And that made it so much easier. And I've gotten a handle on the stress eating lately. A lot better of one. That's just nice. Yeah. Yeah, kids and marriage and life stuff, but... Yeah, keto, the processed keto stuff, like stuff that that people buy ready-made for keto, I don't actually touch most of it. Because a lot of times they add a lot of artificial sweeteners. And these days that's kind of meh. Sugar and bread mess you up. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Asian Marble. That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. It's not based off of previous paintings at all. Seriously, because I was thinking about doing her in dim light, and usually that means a blue shift for me. Then I decided not to do that when I realized the lantern was in the wrong place for OSL. So then I just shifted to. I still had that mood, that kind of soft evening mood. So I wanted to do her in evening colors. That's how I made that decision. Yeah, this book is big enough that you could do that, Pendrick. Don't know what I'm going to do about the book yet. I like the idea of a mystery novel. Maybe I'll do Agatha Christie. Do the title on one page. I think Sophie would be a Miss Marple fan. So second coat, just want it to be real. Since I've thinned my paint, even if it looks thick at first, once it evaporates, it's going to be fine. Alrighty, I need to do this arm. And then I think we'll have a good solid base coat. We can move forward from that and see. If we wanted this model to look a lot darker, if we were planning on doing like an OSL where we wanted a lot of darkness on it, I would definitely have started with a black primer with a zenith. Yeah, I think a soft evening kind of indigo. I really do love indigos. I always have. Just gonna get one more coat in. But yeah, so there's a limit as to how dark this color is gonna look over this lighter substrate. Maybe maybe for a model coming up, I could actually sketch a lot of this probably. I should have thought about sketching it. Maybe I'll just have to sketch in progress. Thinking about it. By sketch, I mean painting black into everywhere that I want dark. Oh, the cup actually has a little bit of a mold imperfection on it. I'll need to snip that off with my knife. Yeah, it is. It is struggling. It was struggling with the color in the palette even. Sorry, there's a little bit of flash on the top of the wine cup that I'm just trying to scrape off. There we go. Got that off. Just a little bit of concerted scraping. But yeah, it's because the camera likes to overexpose red, right? So when it thinks that there's a lot of pink in the skin, it tries to overdo that, and right now it's saying that it's very yellow. So I don't consider indigo a purple. I consider it the stage between blue and purple. Technically, it's between blue and violet. Though you can certainly throw an indigo more toward blue or more toward purple. Need to get her ears again. And then we'll align. Overthinkers unite. Yeah, the camera's just trying to figure out whether it needs to overexpose the red or not, right? Because of the stupid way that this camera likes to overdo red. Or computer likes to overdo red. Alright, we're going to get our liner out. First thing I do when I do skin tone is then to line around it. Yeah, maybe we'll sketch. Now that I've done the skin is mostly up in the light. I do need to still fill in the wings, but we'll do the wings next. And I need to get a card for this since I doctored the skin tone. So we're doing 4 drops of brown liner, 1 drop of water to start with. Angrier versions of magenta. Interesting. Maybe it's the way you see color. Grinico. Everybody sees colors a little bit different. It is Noma Flesh with 2 drops of rich leather in it and 1 smallish drop of clear magenta. But the main part of it is the Noma Flesh. I like to line around the skin after I've painted it in because I like to put kind of a border between the skin and other things. It also kind of lets me judge the light versus dark because the gray is so light. Everything on the model right now is light. So having this dark line lets me better judge like my highlights and shadows. And for some reason, probably that it is giving me more of a reference of light versus dark. It also helps me like see if my highlights are working. This could be just an idiosyncrasy. You may not need it, but if you find that you're trying to blend your highlights on your skin and you can't really tell if it's doing enough, try to do a lining and see if it helps you see that. Yeah, because contrast. Although actually, I think it's still coming off too yellow. It's actually rosier in person than it's looking on the camera. So when you're doing lining, make sure you keep your hand relaxed. Move the model around so that you can keep a relaxed grip on the brush. When you're first starting to develop your brush control, try to keep always within a certain range of motion. So don't be moving your brush all over the place. Move the model around instead. So for anything on this side, I can come at it by turning the model around. Hi, Kiki. I hear your clicky paws. Are you sad because Daddy has his door shut? You want to go in and snoodle him? It was pouring out this morning. David was back to taking her for her walk. And they came back from the walk just sodden. I had to come out. He asked me to help dry her off. Because otherwise she'll try to play with the towel. A little less than when she was a baby, but still, like, makes it really hard to dry her off. So he sat there and distracted her with treats while I dried her. Hello, Miniature Sam. Why do I get the best minis? Oh. I get the best minis because I freaking order the minis I want with Reaper's money. Miniatures 10. Use your store credit for evil. I mean, good. This is definitely a Luca mini. I mean, come on, look at that cleavage. Why are you not painting this? I know, it's a cute little foot. Isn't it cute? It's adorable. Oh, that's right, you're into feet. So we need to get Luca a bunch of dwarves who are barefoot. She is pretty adorable. Hobbits. Well, only if they're sexy hobbits. I don't know. So yeah, when you're working on brush control, guys, another thing, very little paint on your brush. Very little paint on your brush. That way you can draw the fine lines you want. And you need to make sure your paint is thinned at least a little bit so it'll come off the brush easily. Other than that, concentrate on relaxing your hand. Don't hold your breath, because when you hold your breath, you actually, if you hold it at the top of your breath, you actually tense up and it makes shaking more likely. Miniatures Den is not thrilled by hobbits, apparently. That's true. That's true. Well, Sam's girlfriend was hot. Girlfriend, eventual wife. Rosie. She was hot for a hobbit. Just trying to get that in there. Now I want to get this little necklace she's got. Oh, is it? Is it his real life wife? That's funny. I didn't know that. She's good looking. And his real kid at the end. That's cool. I didn't know that. Thanks, D-Land. So sometimes when this stuff goes real recessed, I gotta switch around the model a bit if I'm lining. To just get, again, you're trying to keep your hand in a position. Usually I vary, my comfortable position will vary around a 90-degree arc. I can do this if I have to. I don't like to, though. It's a little less stable. Maybe they did. It was a long time from the first movie to the third movie. Now this up here where it buries, where her hand buries itself on her, in there, that's gonna, I'm gonna actually thin my liner a little bit. I may have to flood that area. It's a little indistinct on the detail, and it's going to be in shadow, so I'm putting in a big shadow. I can always go over it if there's too much. So a little bit lighter line there just to kind of keep it. There we go. Now the hand stands out. You can see it. You can see her knuckles curving over. It's good. Alrighty. Lining is so zen for me. I really enjoy lining. After CrossFit last night, I didn't have the oomph to work more on Cat Girl. Her legs still need work before I can prime her. She's going to have a lighting effect because of the spirit energy that's coming out of the ground. When I have really thin bracelets like this, I actually try not to paint down into that crevice there where the skin is showing through. I actually try to paint the line up on top of that edge of the bracelet. If I want that little sliver of skin to show through, I'm going to lose it if I paint way down into that, because the paint's probably just going to get, the line's going to get too wide. So sometimes I will do that. I'll actually paint like up on top of this little bracelet. Try to keep my line on top of that edge rather than down. Whereas on the other side, I'm definitely going to put my line down where the bracelet meets the skin. So, yeah, especially on very small, tiny areas where you're really not going to notice the difference, Matt. Right? Nobody's going to get in there and really see what you've done in that tiny little area, but it helps you to preserve some little areas of detail that you might want not to flood with liner. It's just a little more elegant. I think she's done CrossFit. I think she's a martial artist. She does a higher kick than I can, the cat girl. Ah. All right, that was a little bit too much. When you do that, if you feel like your line Luca's list just pretty much says like one sentence, every sexy model you have. That's the sentence. Or every model with sexy feet. But yeah, you should paint this one, Luca. You'll paint it a lot differently than me. Justin has it. Yes, Justin is no longer at Reaper, so you're doomed, Luca. That's why you get nothing but dwarves. Uh-oh. Quindy's not the one to sweet talk. John is the one. John is the one you need to sweet talk. Whether you're into beards or not, Luca. Because John is the one actually at Reaper headquarters. Quindy is far away from Reaper headquarters. Yes, it would be very brave. Yep. So here's another place right here. The wings are going to cover this up, so it's not as important, but it's an example of you could maybe paint that line up on top of the strap instead of down the side, and that keeps that skin cut out a little bit bigger and more likely to be seen. Quindy's your secretary. Oh my god. You need hazard pay, Quindy. She's going to send you models that she's going to cut off all the feet. Or cut off all the feet, like, and stick on different feet. Kiki, why are you crying? Kiki's sitting here whining at me. It's not time yet, bub. Would you want to come in and say hi? Do you know that Luca's in the chat? Or are you whining because you can't get to Dad? Yeah, he has a door that's closed. Come here, Kiki. Come here. on up. Oh, oh, that was not a very good hop. That was a failed hop, little dog. That was a failed hop. It was. It really was. Yeah. Hi, silly girl. We have a Kiki. She's a pain in the butt, Luca, but she is beautiful. She's a beautiful girl. Are you beautiful? Yeah, such a good girl. You're such a good girl. Yeah. Oh, thank you. What a good girl. All right. Good dog. Good girl. Yeah, Daddy will be out soon, and we'll take your walk. Look, the rain is stopping. Yeah, we'll give you a walk. We will. But you have to give me 5 minutes. It's Luca time in 5 minutes, okay? You're still damp, Kiki. She's still damp from her walk this morning. Oh, belch, boy. Burpy dog. Burpy dog. Good girl. Yeah, you're a good girl. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta wait for 5 minutes, okay? We gotta do just a little bit more lining, okay? Yep. Yep, just give me 5 more minutes, Kiki. Oh, she left her fur on the mini. I have to pluck a giant fluff of Kiki off of the model. Face licks instead of face bites, I know, right? It's the shark mode. You're in shark days. Eventually. You'll just get so used to saying no teeth, no teeth. Like, we just say no teeth and we stand up and walk away. It took a long time, though, for her to stop the nibbles. I feel you. I feel it, Kodiak. The nibbles are real. Shark puppy mode. I had so many scars when Kiki was a baby. I never had that many scars from my other Shilohs. Oh, you fake cried. Aww. You're gonna throw it into the sun. That's funny. Yeah, your doggo is very, had a lot of empathy for you. That's good. He also gets you to do things by fake crying. Oh my god, good one. Good one. Oh my god. Oh my god. That was worth it. Awesome. Alright, so we got that. We're not going to be able to line all of it, but you can see how the lining brings out my details. Once I start doing shading and highlighting on the skin, I'm going to be able to judge better kind of my light versus dark because I've got this reference point now, right? If I really want a reference point, I'd also sketch in maybe some white on top of the head, and that will give me a real, it'll let me essentially see, just like a camera, getting a camera a white balance bar so that it can see where it should be adjusting its light and dark to. Your eye can also get deceived if you don't have a good reference and you're really focused in on something. So putting a little white, putting a little bit of dark in here, and I would be lining anyway, so it's not wasted time. That's right. Bans himself. Oh man. Yeah, you better watch out. I was just thinking of a little cartoon of Luca throwing like a mini into the sun, and then a cartoon Quindy coming up behind him and poking him on the shoulder and then grabbing him and throwing him into the sun. Only those of us on these streams would understand that, but it would be funny. Alright, so we've got just a couple minutes. I'll at least do the arm, I think. So yeah, this is how I tend to start my skin, at least on 28mm. It's very different if I'm working in larger scale. Your eye just sees things differently. Colors look different because they're taking up more space. So I might not do this same tactic if I was working on a 75, or especially not a bust. Come to Vegas just to drop kick you. Are you coming to Vegas? I didn't know that. I didn't know Luca would be like within kicking distance. Seattle and Vegas in March. Woo! Oh! Huh. Really? You know, Las Vegas isn't far a drive for me, I don't think. 1 second. I mean, it is a drive, but it's not a terrifically bad drive. 1 second. I didn't know you were doing classes. Let's see. That's 8 hours. See, this is how big the U.S. is. So there's me sitting over here by San Francisco. And it's 8 hours. I'd have to go, and that's if you go that way. You never actually want to like go anywhere near Los Angeles. But Vegas, that's actually not terrible. That'd be like 4 hours. I don't know. Maybe. Only the length of the UK. Very much in kicking distance. Yeah. Well, I mean, I've never been to Las Vegas, and I've been wanting to go. I don't gamble and I don't drink, but there's lots of other stuff to do in Vegas. So in March, you say, huh? Where do I find information on this class? I'll have to figure out what day it is, see if I can take a little bit of a road trip. It's on your Instagram? Okay, yeah, I might come just to say hi. I don't know, and to explore Vegas. I'll look at it. I'm not doing anything in March other than, hopefully finishing my book. All right, there we go. Shadow there. Oh yeah, is it Sam's? It's like super cheap and really quick. I'll look at it. Right, yeah, 200 miles is a long way in the UK, 200 years is a long time in the US, yeah. I like road trips, Sam's. Like, they give me lots of good thinking time, especially when I'm working on a book. I use the time very productively. Yep, thanks, Sturgeon. Yes, you can always find something to watch. God knows there's enough content featuring me around. All right, it's time to turn it over to Luca, guys. We've at least gotten a good start on Sophie, even if I didn't get the skin tone in the wings. I do need to grab her a card so I can make a swatch. Trying to get my cards out without dumping everything else back here. So we're going to make a card. I'm going to put down my skin tone mix just so I can remember it. So, but we'll turn it over to Luca. We don't need to. I do not, Sam's. I've done a couple. I did a couple. I have taught at KublaCon, which is our convention out here, our miniatures convention. And I think David is teaching at Kubla. I don't know if I will this year. In-person teaching is like not as much like fun for me. It tends to really drain me, and I don't know. I don't really enjoy it as much as I enjoy the online stuff. But yeah. So that's where it is so far. I may reconsider. I may do one class for Kubla. I haven't decided. Depends on how I feel. All right. Let us turn it over to Luca. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Tomorrow, what is today? Is today Wednesday? Yes. Tomorrow we're back, hopefully finishing Mr. Barbarian. All we need to do is the NMM on the axe, some fading on the teal, that little axe there. Like, we've got so little to do, and we need to fix his red eyes. So, Vampire Barbarian tomorrow. You're new to the channel. Okay, cool. Yeah, I have a lot of YouTube stuff, too, Sam's. So we shall do it, and I'm going to turn this over to the Luca. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have fun, Luca. Yeah, my husband, David Diamondstone. David is actually a Crystal Brush winner. He's won, that's his highest award. Mine is Golden Demon. So we're both, like, high-end award-winning mini painters. But I also do a ton of stuff for my Patreon, Sam's. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. David's great. Yep. All right. Talk to you in a while. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.